Hello, it's good to be with you again. This is The Footprint. And this is the way to welcome you to another interesting episode. We started by speaking with Captain Joel Sowu, and he took us through his footprints, and I'm sure most of you enjoyed it. And for those of you who could not be with us, maybe you could check us out on YouTube and just look for Citi TV on YouTube, and you can have part 1. But today we are here to do part 2 of our conversation. So I welcome you to be part of this program. We'll be right back. So our conversation, if I would just try and see where we left off, we are at this point, we've seen Nkrumah off, yes. Gladly so, yes. In your own words, yes. And now enter General Ankara. Yes. So General Ankara is now the head of state, right. Who it has been as a result of a coup that was led by General Kotoka. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, at this time, where were you? After the coup?
After the coup, I was then the squadron leader of Alpha Squadron with Recce Regiment in Accra. Mm-hmm. And everything seemed to be normal until we were going to have brigade games. You know, we used to have brigade games. And then I was the sports officer of the unit, if you remember. In part 1, I told you I was
the sports officer. You told us about Arthur visiting you.
Yes, I was the sports officer. So it was necessary for me to bring all the sports officers and men in one place to pick up the teams for the regiment. So we all camped at Ho. This was in April. And it was a 1-week period for us to do the picking of the team. And then it ended up on a Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday would be 17th April. So that Friday, we had a boxing tournament. And we were to pick the boxing team. And I borrowed some buntings, decorations from PWD because my father was working there before.
Oh, okay.
So to decorate the distance. And I stayed with Atta.
You mean you stayed with him or he stayed with you?
I stayed because he was in Ho.
Oh, okay.
He was then staying in my former bungalow, number 10.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I used to call it 10 Downing Street. Mm-hmm. So I stayed with him, but I never saw him until that. What I'm saying, when I said never, we never sat down to have any discussion.
Was he your mate?
No, Atta was not my mate. In fact, I was his mentor, virtually.
Okay.
Because when your officers come to the unit...
What was his rank?
He was a second lieutenant, and then I was...
Okay, and you were a captain.
Right.
Okay. So you were a lieutenant at the time?
No, I think he had become a lieutenant.
Okay.
I was then a captain.
Captain, right.
So I was asking, because that morning, they didn't leave early. So I wanted to go with them. They said we were going to apply to go and do an operation. And so I'd like to go with you. And he said no. So I left him. So during the boxing tournament, coming to the end, I was asking those who went to Aflawo, had they come back? They said he had come back. Then I said, where was Atta? And so he came, but he never came near me. He sat very far away. I didn't know why. So I finished, packed the things. Officers went to the officers' mess to have a refreshment. I left. And Saturday morning early, I left and came to Accra. And I was so tired. And my brother, Justus, who was working with the bank, was spending his leave with me. So on Monday at dawn, then he came and banged on my door. And I said, what's the matter? He said, no, the sky had changed. And he was hearing some firing. And I said, okay. So I came out, I looked at the sky, I said, go to sleep. Perhaps Mortar Regiment people might have been doing some exercises. But when I went, I couldn't sleep again.
This Monday...
That was 17th April.
Were you in Accra?
I was there. I had come to Accra.
Okay. And the Mortar Regiment is in Ho, right?
Yes. But when you are having... No, at that time, Mortar Regiment had not moved to Ho.
Oh, okay.
They had not moved to Ho.
Okay.
Because there was the Recce Squadron, Bravo Squadron was in Ho.
Okay.
Right. So then when I couldn't sleep again, then my mind, I remembered that Kwame Nkrumah said he was going to invade Ghana with Guinean troops. So my mind went straight into that mode. And in the military, they teach you something, they call it appreciation of the situation. If there is any situation happening, what you did, your mind goes into that mode where you begin to evaluate what actually was happening. So I started evaluating, and I realized that if we're being attacked by Guinean troops, foreign troops, one of the very important points to be attacked would be the castle. And therefore, I started dressing up to go to the castle. But on second thought, I realized that if I was in military uniform and I'm seen by the troops or the foreign troops, I would just be shot on sight because I was in military uniform. So I removed the military uniform again, put on a white shorts and a blue interlock. Then I came down. And drove.
The use of interlock, most of the young people won't even understand.
How would they call it now?
Well, round neck or polo shirt or one of those things.
Call it I think polo shirt would be more.
Yeah, so that's interlock for you people.
So the polo shirt. So at that time there was no papaya, but the junction is still there. So people can relate it to now if I say Papaya Junction and turn right and went to the castle. You know, there straight you will see that there is a road there that leads to the castle.
Yeah.
So people were standing there. So I stopped and I said, "Oh, what's happening?" Then they spoke down. So
you are safe. They didn't say Yabi.
So I switch off my engine, put it in free, and then I put off the lights because it was then about, let's say, 4:35. I didn't look at the time. And then as I went down a little bit, the firing started again. So I reversed, and they started mocking at me. You know, to which, unto a man, won't you go again? Yeah. So I turned around, came back to my house. I was living at Cuckoo Hill, where opposite the moderator's house. And then I said, okay, let me try Bemakam phone to see whether I could get anybody. The main lines were cut, but we had the Navy commander Kui, PF Kui. He was the commander of the Navy.
So just not to cut you because of time,
okay.
Because you've narrated this bit in episode 1,
right? Okay,
and we have moved to when you noticed that it was a coup d'etat,
right?
And then you caught up with them at some point.
No, okay. When I got to the unit.
Yes, the unit. And back to the unit.
And
yes.
Then I brought the soldiers in. You know, and then I saw a military intelligence officer. Told him what I'd done, and he said, I told him I was going to a castle.
Do you remember the name of that officer?
It's called, when I remember it, along the line, I'll tell you. But he's a fair-colored person, and he belonged to the military intelligence. He said, broadcasting was much more important than castle. That's how I even went to Broadcasting Corporation. And then when I got there, then I just got the idea that let me tell the nation.
At this point, were you in uniform then?
No.
You are still...
No, by this time I had borrowed an overall. I had borrowed I think a beret or jungle hat or something like that. I borrowed a jungle boots. So it was not my own uniform because I was in blue.
Did you have any weapon?
No.
Okay.
I never had any weapon. And so that's what happened. And Mike Egan, he was then in GBC2 at that time. Then he interviewed me about the thing.
You drove to GBC?
Yes.
Was it with the military vehicle?
With my own car, GE 9004 Morris 10.
Morris
10.
That's car. Okay, so you went in,
yes,
and
then announced to the nation that
did he know that you're a military officer?
Who?
Mike Egan.
No, but at that time I was then in a borrowed military.
Okay, so it was obvious that you're a military man. Okay.
No, I had gone to the studio. I had already made the announcement in GBC 1. So he came and invited me to GBC 2.
Okay. So this is, I just want to get the
Yes,
logic. So
yes.
you, a military officer with no weapon, you went to GBC.
Yes, and some officers had already been arrested, like Wanyote. They had been arrested by those who were staging the coup.
Yes, but when you got to GBC, there were no military officers there.
They were there.
But how did
The
you
soldiers
pass
were
through?
there. They said they never saw my car.
You used juju.
I don't know.
Because
They never
there
saw.
are
They said they never saw my
narrations
car
that
enter.
You
Yes.
used juju
Eh?
at some point.
Well, I don't know. If God's power is juju, then so
Well,
be it.
I mean, you can tell us. You can also choose not to tell us. I mean, these are spiritual
No,
things.
I
but-
don't know what is juju.
Okay,
That is the point.
So you used something
I never used anything.
supernatural.
I never used anything natural. I just know throughout my life I'm being protected by God.
Okay, so you didn't consult anybody
Nobody.
spiritually.
Nobody.
Okay, so you went.
Yes.
It only happened that you were not seen physically.
Well, they said it. I don't know whether what they were saying was true or not. They said they
Are you
never.
a part-time angel?
I'm Captain Joel Sowu. and the truth of the matter is that there are other things, in my dreams,
Okay.
things
All right.
have happened.
So you did that, managed to do the announcement.
yes.
And what was the effect of the announcement?
It calmed the nation down because, a lot of people didn't know what was happening.
Okay, so let's keep going.
Yeah, so we did that, and then I came back. When I came back, my reward was that night they brought a 3-ton military vehicle with a platoon of soldiers to arrest me. That's when I tasted my first primary education in the guard room of 2nd Battalion.
So
Nobody knew who gave the orders that I should be arrested.
for announcing
that the coup had been
that the
foiled.
coup has been foiled,
Yes.
you were punished
Yes, virtually.
by the military officers or by the presidency.
No. When I was put in the guard room for 3 days, nobody, up to today, nobody has told me who gave the orders that I should be put in the guard room. I was reduced from acting captain. Remember, I said Kotoka gave me, I became an acting captain. I was reduced from acting captain to lieutenant. And then I was posted out of the unit, and I was declared a persona non grata in my own unit. I was sent to the infantry battalion, 2nd Battalion, as if I was an infantry officer. And that was very sad. It was a very sad commentary.
And so going forward from there, how did you manage your life in the army?
Oh, I think that God just gave me the courage and the ability to endure the pain and the disgrace. I would say disgrace, because I tried to ask myself several times, what did I do wrong? But what I was told was that one Brigadier Carter, who was then in charge of administration, he was told to prepare a citation for me. And I believe what he said was that I should have come to call a senior officer like him to go and make the announcement. And by me making the announcement, I had disgraced the senior officers.
Is it the same Brigadier Carter that we know?
Yes, the same Brigadier Carter, Alphonse Carter.
Yeah.
And this was...
But I thought he was your friend.
Oh, well, a friend, a friend is just a name.
It's a relationship.
Yes, it's the relationship that makes a friend. Like you. You are. When I say you are my friend, I know what I'm talking about.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that put me in a very bad shape for a long time. But after some time, I got back and I was sent to the staff to go, to be a staff officer. I became a staff officer. Then I came close to work with General Otu. No, Air Marshal Otu, who became the Chief of Defense Staff. I became very close with him. I had a book called The Secret Doctrines of Jesus Christ. And I recommended it to him. He said I should bring my own. When he took the book, He said he would never give it back to me. He never. But something happened during my relationship with General Air Marshal Otu. Anytime I entered Air Marshal Otu's office, he would get up for me. And I didn't understand. And then I became the Chief of Staff coordinating, secretary to the Chief of Staff coordinating conference. And everybody, they were all senior officers, and I was the only captain amongst them.
Your captaincy had been restored?
Has been restored at this point. And then they'll be having a meeting, they'll be talking, then he will call me and say, come. Then he said, what do you think about all the nonsense these people are talking about? Tell me what you think. And then I will tell him. Then he said, go. When they ask you, say it's a confidential matter between chairman and secretary. And then he will repeat verbatim what I had told him. Then all the senior officers would say, Joel, what have you done to... Because everybody feared Air Marshal Otu. They said, what have you done to this man? It looks as if the man, anytime you entered his office, he would get up for you. But I said, I hadn't done anything. Because in those days, well, I'm not ashamed to say it. I used to fast a lot. Sometimes I'll fast 30 days and all that. I used to fast a lot in those days. And I'll go to the beach.
You mean Christian fasting?
Yes. And then I'll roll.
You're not hungry. You're just fasting.
Yeah, I'll go to Boti Falls during Easter.
For a treat.
Yes. I'll spend the time with a person like Kene Ewa in those days.
Oh, Kene Ewa, yeah.
And one officer, Mr. Another friend. Easter time, every Easter time we were in Boti Falls, you know.
To go and pray.
I guess all those things helped me in my work.
All right, so at this point, General Ankara was still head of state?
Yes.
Okay, because the coup had been foiled.
Yes.
And you were living your life.
I live my normal life.
Okay, good. So we will be coming back to Captain Sowu very soon. After this break, we want to know from Captain Sowu how he made a transition into the Busia regime as well, because it looks like one regime, one prison, one regime, one prison. So let's see whether he made it in the Busia regime with another prison term. We'll be right back. So, not long after this, General Ankara handed over to Busia. Good.
He became a prime minister.
Yes. Now, what's your own recollection of this era?
This era, I'll just state one, the major thing that went against Busia.
Okay.
But I told you, the same Busia was the guy who facilitated my leaving the armed forces. I told you in part one that I said if I became a captain, I would leave. So when Busia became prime minister, he came out with a policy that anybody who had done 10 years as commission service, if you wanted to leave, you could be retired properly. So I was the first person to apply.
So you're not kicked out?
No.
Nobody forced you out?
No. Okay. I was the first person to apply. And then I was even paid my gratuity. So by the time of the planning of the 1972 coup, I had already collected my gratuity. So by the time we finished the coup, I was ready. I was to retire on the 1st of April, 1972. You understand it?
Yeah.
So by the time when the coup was to take place on the 15th of January, but it leaked out. Yeah. So we brought it back to 13th January.
13th January.
So that we would not be arrested and be shot like goats. So this is what happened. And then...
So, no, hang on. So you got involved in the Kutua Champon coup to overthrow Busia. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'll tell you one good reason why I did that. I was at the hotel on the way to the airport from 37.
Golden Tulip, which was a Continental Hotel.
Right. I was in Continental Hotel. one afternoon. Then the aliens compliance order that was taking place. Then I saw vehicles loaded with people who were going, the Nigerians. One particular one, it was like a story building, the way they've loaded the vehicle. And people were sitting right at the top. I wept. Seriously. I just stood there and I wept. And I said, this is in man's inhumanity to man. Some of these people might have lived in this country for several years. Some of them were born here. They don't even know anybody in Nigeria as they are living now. Where are they going? How are they going to survive? I wept. I wept seriously. And that, to me, no, and correct. And I say that, and I told you I was doing a lot of fasting and all these things. So at that time, I had become extra sensitive to mankind.
Okay.
To a lot of
so
things.
let me move ahead
Yes.
of you.
Yes.
So at which point did you get wind of a coup being planned?
No. All right, I'll tell you. So that one, I can't tell you. But I'll tell you what happened. Where I was staying, we call it the Coup Hill. I am in 13 East Arakan. Achampon was Arakan West. All right? Now, sometimes the CEO of a battalion would say, I'm having lunch. So he invite officers and men.
Was Achampon the CEO at the time?
He was a CEO of
infantry.
The infantry. The second, I think it was second battalion of Ibadan at that time. So they will have lunch. Now, when we are having the lunch, if military music is being played throughout the lunch, those who know will know that there is something in the offing. You understand? So there was this lunch. So we had the lunch, and those who knew, and things happened, and everybody knew what to do. And one of my assignments was to get somebody to cut the phone lines at the signal regiment. The first officer I spoke to is called Smile. Those who know him will know the full name. I called him, put him in my car, drove him to the famous T Junction, Labadi T Junction. And when I finished talking to him, the man, excuse me, he started shaking, and we thought, please excuse my language. He started flatulating, you know. Then he said, Joel, this one I can't do it too. So I had to drop him. Then I picked another officer who is a major. He knows himself. I took him there and I said, we know where your parents are, your family house in Accra. He said, "Gan."
But mention his name. That thing has happened.
Oh, it's called Aloti, Major Aloti.
Good.
So I said, if what I'm telling you now, if you tell anybody and I'm arrested, that is a signal that all your family members should be killed. Then he said, oh, Murphy. And he did it. Then one staff sergeant...
you were a captain.
Yes.
And he was a major.
Yes.
And in the military, how does that happen?
Don't go there. We'll talk behind the scenes.
Okay.
So this staff sergeant, I called him to my house. I told him, this is what is going to happen tomorrow, you know. This is going to happen tomorrow. And then when I was talking to him, then his eyes started becoming red, And I could see that this man would collapse in my house. So I said, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I haven't said anything. Say, yes, sir. Again, let me demonstrate, you see. So I took him, as we were getting to the gate, all I could hear, sir, the security is tight. The security is tight, sir. So this man, He was fluctuating until he got to the unit. Immediately he got to the unit, he went and asked for pass. Bam! Otilong, he went to his village. I saw him 3 days later. He was standing, holding a gun at the checkpoint. I said, is that you? Is that Charlie, it's not an easy thing.
Right. So yes. So let's move forward. Now, where was Kutu Achampong?
Then Kutu Achampong was in his place. So an officer died in our unit.
Hang on. Did I hear that Kutu Achampong used to be in Takrady?
He has been transferred to Accra.
Not too long.
To take over the unit.
So he had been in Accra not too long.
Yes.
So it means that he started planning this coup while he was in Takrady.
Well, put that in the back burner. Because it's not everything that you tell the public.
But the public wants to know everything.
But they say all things are good for you.
But not all things are expedient.
Wow. So I had to plan wakekeeping for the officer who had died in my unit. The essence of the wakekeeping was not the wakekeeping. The aim of the wakekeeping was to introduce Achampong to the Recce boys, especially those who knew something was happening. And I will tell you, I had already, those who were going to do the thing, I had already briefed them. I had crossed the Rubicon long before the 13th. I had crossed the Rubicon long before. So I had, you see, you must have a rapport with your soldiers in such a way that they will be prepared to die for you.
Okay.
That you can tell them anything if you are a good officer and you have that proper rapport. And people didn't know that because of that proper rapport, that also helped me in the 67 when I asked them all to come and because they have that confidence in me.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the D-Day.
Yeah, so no, it's important. At that time, they brought an officer to be a CEO of Recce, who was not a Recce officer. So there is also a discontent among the Recce officers against that person who had been brought
from another unit
because he's not a trained Recce officer. So Achampong came. When Achampong came, I went and picked him from his house and brought him to my unit. So then when I introduced him, then this is interesting. Tells you the human brain is deep. I was sitting on the left, Achampong was sitting on my right. Then the new CO that had been brought was sitting on Achampong's right.
Remember his name?
If I remember, I'll tell you. He became a member of the NRC later. But he asked Achampong, did you come with your car? Achampong said no. Then he said, then when we close, I'll go and drop you. Then Achampong said, oh no, Captain Sowu will go and drop me. Then Achampong turned to me, Nkwasi Asem, China, Babeka says, oh, Beka drop him. Who do you mayor? Do you understand? That tells you the rapport.
That sounds like Kutu Achampong.
Right, the rapport between us. So on the D-Day, Agbo was supposed to capture the airport. So he went there. So he had to send message that he needed a reinforcement. So I just tell my boys, I said, you go, send this. And Salome, who was supposed to be a 2IC of my unit, was there. And then when the boys were moving, he didn't know what was happening. He was like, what's happening? I said, shut up. I mean, so the boys moved. And then, getting to about 8:39, Achampong and Bedu came to Recce Regiment.
So who?
Bedu, Major Bedu. He became a...
Colonel Bedu?
Yeah, Colonel. He became
who became Colonel Bedu later?
At that time. So he said, oh, Joel, Anokwenu was supposed to capture Flagstaff House. We can't find him. So can you capture Flagstaff House? And I said, oh, no problem. And the way I said no problem, they didn't think that really...
It was too good to be true.
Yes. So I said, you send a company through 37, I'll go through Flagstaff House. So by the time the company arrived in Flagstaff House, I only one ferret. And I never carried a gun too. That was one thing with me. So when I got to Flagstaff House, I jumped out of the ferret and I started shouting. I'm counting 10. By the time I finish counting 10, no matter who you are, come lie down and put your arms on the right. 1, I'm booming now. 2, by the time I got to 6, they all come, they laid down, put their arms on the right, and then Akufo came. He was then a colonel. He was the colonel GS at the Flagstaff, so he came and I saluted him and I said, "You are under arrest, sir." And I saluted, gave him the proper compliments, and then the infantry arrived.
Had arrived, yes.
So I asked for the Land Rover, put them inside the Land Rover, and they went, and then they took him to the Coup Hill, Gonda Barracks at that time. Kenneth Echimensin, if you've heard of the name, he became.
Yes, of course.
This man was hiding behind our armory, our quarter guard. When Akutua Champo arrived at the Reki regiment, he just went and said, "Sir, I support you." He put him in the car. That was all his qualification. The man became a minister of state. It tells you. And then what happened? I went to external, telecommunication external, and ordered them and said there should be no communication for 48 hours, in and out. And I brought them all down to where is now is a car park now. They've built a car park there.
Yeah,
it was an
street.
open square.
Yeah, that's correct.
I put them all. I put them all there. Then I went on a one-man patrol with my ferret. Went through confidence patrol. I went through the town, drove through the town, and then came back.
Okay.
Now you hear announcement, this so have been appointed minister for so secretary for so whatever it is.
Commissioner.
Nothing happened. And then people ask me, but Joel, we thought you were the one staging the coup. I said, I'm not the one staging. But why we not hear anything about it? I said, I don't know. So come April 1st, April Fool's Day, this thing was due. I retired. And then I went to food distribution. Please, my life was not coup d'etat. Well, there were other aspects.
Well, so you went to food distribution.
Yes.
Who asked you to go there?
I think the government sent me there.
So you were recognized?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Well, food distribution regional manager, Charlie Plantain, you are going to sell plantain and cocoyam and
But at the time,
and
that time, food distribution was quite active.
Yeah, but it was in the back burner.
Yeah, it was.
Until I went to food distribution. Then I went and shook the whole place up.
Okay, so
and brought into the front burner.
You went there as a regional manager?
Yes.
In charge of which region?
Accra region.
Greater Accra.
But they realized that Kumasi was more critical. So later on, I was sent to Kumasi, Ashanti region, where I became very active. In those days, food was difficult. They were finding difficult to find.
So this is between 72 up until 74, thereabouts.
Yes, 73, 74.
So this would usher us into the commencement of the Operation Feed Yourself.
Exactly, ma. So at that in Kumasi, in fact, when I got to Kumasi, I had to introduce myself to the Asanteni, Nana Opokuwari.
Of course.
Let me also say, may he so rest in perfect peace, because he made my stay there
comfortable.
Because people were gunning for my life. Because some people are taking government money, and I was forcing everybody to bring it like nobody's business.
So 74 would have either Major Kwame Asante or Colonel Bedu as regional commissioner.
No, at that time, I missed a bit. Kwame Asante, you made me remember Kwame Asante because I was with him in Ministry of Labour.
Right.
And that's where I collected a lot of money, those who borrowed money from Cocoa Marketing Board. I was traveling 24 hours a day. Because the cocoa farmers, the only time you could get them was in the night. So I was traveling in the night. And then sometimes, oh, Lord, forgive me. Because if you saw me with my dress, military dress, and my epaulet, black epaulets, with this shining at midnight, and you came out and you saw me, excuse me, flatulation was common galore, and people were urinating, and then I said, oh, I had a book. So I said, you owe this amount of money. Oh, Captain Jessica, we nekokasa wa humi. I said, no, I didn't know you owe this amount of money. Dear family. Then I will record it. Oh, sir, your money is because others who were going there, when they gave them money, they pocketed it. So the debt that they owed,
So food distribution in the Ashanti region.
Yes, Charlie, that was one of my best moments in life.
So you ate for free?
No, I bought plantain. I was selling. I bought the plantain.
The one that you were selling?
Yeah, anything that I was setting an example.
And they will say you are wicked.
No, I was just...
They didn't say that?
They said it, but I was just being principled.
But in Ghana, principle means you are wicked.
It was in food district I saw plantain walk. I'll be in my office, and what they didn't know was that occasionally, especially when they brought the food to be discharged, I would be up and I would be watching. You see, they'll take a bunch of plantain and put it somewhere. When you go the next time, it has moved from here to another place. So I was watching this particular plantain until it reached the gate. And then I came down. I said, this plantain has walked from this place to this place.
Without wheels.
Without the place.
Oh, okay. So
it was interesting.
Good. So your era introduced us to
Operation
Feed Yourself. I'm curious. I'd want to know... I actually want to know what your role would be in Operation Feed Yourself, because it was a major campaign for food sustenance in Ghana.
Yes.
But we'll do that after this short break. This is still Footprints. Welcome back to the program. This is Footprints on Citi TV. You know, I almost said 97.3 Citi FM, but hey, same. And I'm here with Captain Joel Sowu, and I have really enjoyed walking in his footprints, not literally, but at least understanding his trajectory of life. So, Captain, now you are enjoying your work as a manager at the Ghana Food Distribution Corporation, which had offices in almost every district in Ghana.
In Ghana, yes.
Yeah, I remember the yellow buildings
and green,
yellow and green, with their huge trucks and all.
Exactly.
You know, I was a kid, but I remember some of these.
Yes.
So when you came to Kumasi, and as I remember, Colonel Bedu.
Yes, he was then the regional manager. Regional commissioner.
Yeah. Was it before, after Major Kwame Asante? One of them took over from another.
I think no. I think Bedu took over from Asante.
Okay.
Because Asante I was with Asante in
Labour, you said.
In Ministry of Labour.
Oh, nice.
And they called the two of us crazy people.
Oh, but he was such a lovely gentleman.
Yes. Kwame Asante is on the ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I remember Bedu and his mustache.
Yes. But Bedu was the regional commissioner, and I was the regional minister. Sorry. I was the regional manager of food distribution.
Yes.
So I went there, and I said, I need a grader, because you said I should haul foodstuffs to Accra. There is a village, I've discovered a village called Kofiase, 36 villages. So I need a grader to open the road from Uamuase to Kofiase, 13 years, no vehicle had passed on it. I went and opened it for them. Then Bedu told the regional, the regional administrative officer, he said, Papa, we paucho so ba no so pe bibia. Farmer no. Otherwise, you will never have peace.
I can imagine Colonel Bedu and Mpocho being oba bibi or shibia one farmer.
Otherwise, you won't have your peace. So anytime I went, and the regional administrative officer, he was a very good and nice person. And anything I needed, because 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 I because Accra, you need food in Accra. I have to haul it. I have to make the road well before you. So they did it until from Kofiase to Wiamoase, 18 years. No vehicle had ever passed on it. I went and opened it.
Wow.
And then
you didn't do a Deba of Chiefs?
No,
to celebrate the triumphant entry.
No, so at one time they wanted to make me Nkoswahini, so they did a Deba. Wow. When I sent Selome there as the Minister for Health, and we did the maternity home. We renovated it, and I was the first person to ever send a Minister of State to that part of the country. And they were so happy with it. Wow. And then also, they approached the American ambassador. So he also did the water tower for them in that area. So when I look back on those days, I realized that, hey...
Very fulfilling days.
I feel complete.
But, the history, as I was told, was that you somehow found yourself in trouble again.
Yes. Before we get to that trouble, let me pay tribute to Nana Opoku-Waride Asante-Hene at that time. Yeah. Oh, like I said, people were trying to steal government money, and I had to put my life on the line. And they were planning to kill me, all sorts of things. They went to him and complained, said, Mumfiho, when or Hamu say, Muye Cronfo, my Yasika, or Mun Tiasca, no, Mumse, or Yenufio, Yenufio, obey. Then I was transferred again to Accra. Why? They say the manager here, Accra, a boy, moment doing. So I came to Accra. And then I changed the face, and I wrote the duties of the regional manager right up to the messenger for food distribution. So it was adopted. Then I helped a German company to win a contract. Not physically, but I prayed. They came and I prayed, and they won the contract. It's called Nagel. And they said, they were so happy. They said, what can we do for you, immediately? I said, a trip to Holland, London, Paris, Germany, and back. We'll do the trip. So
what were you going to do there?
Oh, just sightseeing. So they did.
You had seen them in movies?
Oh, no. What I'm saying is that I just wanted to visit those countries.
Well, I'm sure here.
Yeah, I'm sure here, Charlie. I mean, I feel.
Oh, Pobla.
I feel. Oh, man, I'm a So when I got to Holland, then the officer at The Hague came. He knew I was coming. So he met me and he said, don't go back to Ghana. They will arrest you. I said, what? Oh, Charlie, we have got the intelligence report that Charlie, you are involved in planning a coup, so they will arrest you. I said, oh, I'm not planning anything, so I'll go back. So I came back to Ghana, bam.
You were arrested?
I was arrested.
This time, you hadn't done anything.
That's the one that sent me to Nsawan to do my PhD.
But who was doing the coup?
They said we were doing the coup.
No, but of course.
At that time, there were different. All right, they were arrested me. Arrested von Bakustein. I think Wemegan, he was a warrant officer. Agoha, he was a sergeant. He was still they were all in the service, but I had already retired, remember?
But
I was already a retired officer.
But not coup sent, not Joe. So everywhere he went, the coup was following.
I was doing good. So they searched my house. But you see, you're talking about friend. Agoha was with me in the Rec Regiment, and he was supposed to be my friend. But I wanted to test his loyalty. Okay. So I told him, bring me Part 1 orders. Don't ask me Part 1 orders. It's a technical term for some of our...
What orders?
Part 1 orders.
Part 1 orders.
I said, bring it to me. So he brought the Part 1 orders, and then as he was there...
which time is this? Sorry. You mean when you came back from Holland?
When I came back from Holland.
You were not arrested immediately?
No, during that time, we were being followed.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was telling people when the government communique came out, I was telling them, please, before they arrest you, they would have followed you for a long time. So when he brought the part one orders, he was there, and I intentionally lifted up my carpet and put it there. I wanted him to see that I had put it there. Okay? Later on, when I was arrested, they came to search my house. They searched every place without that place. And as we were going, then the officer said, oh, remaining something small. So they came straight to that place and picked it up. Then I knew that Papa no, on yet, I was a setup, which meant that all the time that we were going, whatever we were discussing, it was. During those days that I went to Nyaho in Tema and spoke to him. At that time, in Tema, actually, the reason why we went there, our ammunition depot is there. The one that brought about some...
near the Michelle camp?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we wanted to see the officer who was...
So you went to Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo?
Yes.
What for?
Oh, we were discussing what for. Charlie,
No, I just want to get there. At this time, you were not a military man.
Yes.
You were with food distribution.
I was a free man, yes.
You were food distribution, and you went to Nyaho Tamaklo at Michelle Camp.
Yes.
To do what? Because from the civilian point of view, if you are an appointee of the government, you are seen as part of government.
Yes.
So you are part of government, and you went to discuss what?
And I was a free man.
Well, free, yes.
Yes, and I have if things were not going.
But you are distributing the food.
But the certain. Okay, let me put the whole thing in proper context.
Because we are about running up.
I said it in part one, but let me repeat it for people who might have forgotten. The military was not to rule. Mm-hmm. We were to get...
No, don't worry about that. Yes. So did you go there to discuss coup d'etat?
Oh, we discussed coup d'etat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were arrested later?
Later.
So it means you were involved?
But I was not planning a coup.
Hey.
There's a difference between planning and a difference between...
executing.
And talking.
But aiding and abetting.
No, if I say... China ya best coup and now we are send nyama nkoyi nti so say bibi.
Okay. So
that is not planning a coup.
Okay. So when were you arrested then?
Oh, sometime later. Later, about 3-4 months later.
Did you know they were coming to arrest you?
Oh, I knew. Because the way I was being followed, even, excuse me, when I went to the look, I knew somebody was standing behind my window watching the color of my destiny. What I was deciding there.
And when were you arrested?
The way I was arrested is interesting for you to know. It was like we were in Wild West in America. I went to, because they had gone to a champion that I was planning a coup. So they were going to arrest me and Von Bakustan. A champion said, without me and Von Bakustan, he would never have become a head of state. So he would not agree for us to be arrested. But they came and arrested us without a champion's this thing. Nkegbe was the minister for Agric at that time. And he said I was one of his best officers. Therefore, he would not... So a champion said I should be transferred to Bolgatanga so I could go and stage the coup in Bolgatanga. So when they were trying to transfer me, Paul Nkebe was fighting that I should stay in Accra because I was one of the best regional managers in food distribution. Do you understand? So without the knowledge of our champion, we were arrested and put in this thing. Now, before then I was transferred. So I bought my ticket to take a plane to Kumasi and then travel to the north. That night, I had a friend in Dansoman. So I went to visit a friend. And it went deep into the night. And I knew I was being followed. So about 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., I got up. And when I started the car, everybody, I heard about 10 cars sparking. They chased me from Dansoman to Obechebi. When I got to Obechebi, I went around it twice. They scattered. Then I came to Circle. I went around, they scattered. Then I came to 37. This time round, Lomoaga, who was the military intelligence officer, he went this way and crossed me and pulled a pistol on me and said, Captain Sowu, you are under arrest. And I said, for what? He said, you yourself, you know. Look, listen, let me tell you. If you want to hear more from me, wait for my book or ask them to do part 3.
But quick one.
Yes.
So you are arrested and fast forward, you went to Nsawam.
No, we were sent to BNI headquarters. Mm-hmm. And then from BNI headquarters, we were sent to BNI region. Mm-hmm. From BNI region, then we went to Usher Fort. Usher Fort, we stayed at Akuse Ward. And from Usher Fort, we went to courts. From courts, then we went to Nsawam.
So you ended up at Nsawam?
Yeah, where I did my PhD.
For how long?
3 years.
Thank you. This has been The Footprint. My name is Samuel Atamensa.